What an absolute monstrosity. Speaking of monstrosities, what the hell is that? What is that? Oh my god, hello. Hello. People actually streaming themselves sleeping in bed. That is just creepy. If any, that is just why? Why are you like this, Twitch? All right. So, where we at? Good question. Where are we at, indeed? Okay, so we managed to get evidence generated by the AI. So that's great and all. I need to start piecing it all together. And what we need to do with the evidence is we need to be able to link. So basically, link evidence to suspects. Right? So, for example, let's say this one was like, I don't know, 1 is suspect Megan Fox, 2 is suspect... I think Kelly Clarkson's the victim in this one. Yeah, it's got to be. Jennifer Lopez is mentioned there, right? So then the idea is that then what we can do is we can say, okay, we want to ask Megan Fox about a silver bracelet that's identical to one that Megan Fox owns, right? So then what we need to be able to do is say, as we're going through the evidence, we need to be able to say, okay, link this to suspect 1, Megan Fox. Then when we interview Megan Fox, maybe we make her aware of this thing, maybe not. But we can bring it up along with Megan Fox so that we as the investigator will be reminded of it. Also, what I think would make the most sense is, let's say the killer is among these suspects, right? Right, and let's say, I don't know, this piece here, Britney Spears, I guess. So let's say B. Spears. Let's say Britney Spears was the killer in this one. Then we link evidence 3 to Britney Spears, but Britney Spears should maybe be aware as the AI character that they are the killer, and maybe they're aware of all this evidence. Because if you think about it, like all of the other suspects, so at the end of the day, you have two types of personalities here, right? In the list of suspects, right? You have type A. I mean, if briefly, this isn't always the case, but like generally speaking, you're going to have type A suspects which actually know nothing. So they shouldn't be made aware of all the evidence because they wouldn't know. They're not the investigators. They wouldn't know about it unless we bring it up as the investigators, right? And then the killer is in this category here, right? Pretending that they know nothing. And our job to uncover the mystery is to like spot the difference between the person who genuinely knows nothing, catching them out in a lie, right? And then the person who's just pretending to know nothing. I have no idea how any of this is going to work out and how good the AI is going to be at doing this, but you know, I guess we'll find out. Right, another major problem. Well, it's not a problem, but a major thing with this is, like, the images take a while to generate and stuff like that. So I have to find a way to keep keep us, the player, engaged whilst this stuff's still being generated, right? So the issue with that, because there's different ways to do stuff like this, right? So here's the issue, right? Is okay. Let's just pretend, for example, and this is probably about true. I think it takes about 8 seconds, right, to generate an image, right? So then here's the problem with that, right? We need two scenes generated, up to like 8 suspects. And then like maybe like up to like 8 pieces of evidence, right? So even for this one, right, let's say each one of those takes 8 seconds. So the easiest way to do something like that is to say, okay, we're going to wait until all the assets have generated, and then we're going to deliver the mystery, right? The problem with that is, how many is that, right? So there's 2 there, there's 6 there, and there's 6 there, so there's 12, 13, 14. So what's 14 times 8? And each image, let's say it takes 8 seconds to generate. It's going to take 2 minutes. It's going to take 2 minutes to generate all those images. So the issue is, if we were to sit there and stare at like a loading screen or whatever, you know, generating. If we were to sit and look at that, that could basically be 2 minutes of just sat there looking at that. So what I want to try and do instead is, so it's all about timing and pacing and shit, right? So basically deliver an introduction whilst generating scene 1, right? And then deliver scene 1 whilst generating scene 2, right? The problem is sometimes we're going to be ready to deliver the next thing, right? Let's say we're ready to deliver suspect 1. So I need to code this in a very certain way. Let's say we're ready to deliver suspect 1 and it's still generating suspect 1. There are 2 ways in which that could go. We either end up showing like a blank image for suspect 1 until the image is delivered, or what we can do is we can, so again, it's trying to figure out how should it work, right? Or maybe at this point we could just say, well, there's 3 ways of doing it. Okay, so our 3 options in this instance, right, is option 1, please wait, right? So we deliver like a wait screen while we can finish generating the content. Option 2 is fill a dialogue. Just waffle on, right? Waffle on whilst it's generating. Option 3 is deliver potentially blank until loaded. So honestly, I think option 2 is the best, even though I hate waffle. Because it's more, I mean, the waffle may end up being more entertaining. I think the waffle's still more entertaining. Like, we're not going to waffle like it's Honkai Impact 3rd or anything, you know what I mean? We're not going to waffle the whole thing. We would literally be using waffle as a filler tool, just to say, okay, the content's not ready yet, it's still generating, so then we just insert some waffle here, right? Then we just insert some waffle here to fill the gap while we're waiting for suspect 1 to generate. So these are all things that I'm thinking about, right? It's like, okay, how are we going to make this work? How do we want this to work? Because we've got potentially like 2+ minutes to generate all of the assets for the mystery, rather than look at a generating content loading screen and have nothing to do for 2 minutes. I'm going to try to deliver content as it's coming in, right? Actually, thinking about it, it might be better if we just... if we did that the other way around. So if you think about it, right, it's like, then it's like... then it's like get scene 1, deliver scene 1, get scene 2, deliver scene 2. The only problem with doing it this way is there is going to be an initial wait for scene 1, right? And there may well be like some waits in between. There may well be some waits in between like some of these pieces, right? Some of these stages, because it's still going and getting it. So it's kind of tricky. It is kind of tricky. And then there's also like the issue that I need to store all these in memory, because basically what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go to scene 1, right? So here's how it's going to work, right? Scene 1 is going to deliver introductions. Scene 2 is going to deliver... Okay, here's the thing, right? So this is how I want it to work. Scene 1 delivers introductions and suspects. Then we swap to scene 2, which is going to be the crime scene. And then we deliver evidence, right? And link to suspects. Then what I want to do when we go back to the interviews, because we want to go back to the... we might even generate a scene 3, I don't know. But if at least we would go back to scene 1, right? Interview suspects. So we don't even have the we don't even have the luxury of being able to get rid of scene 1 when we go to scene 2, because we're going to need to go back to scene 1. And the same thing's happening with the suspects, right? So as we're interviewing suspects, yeah, we're probably going to go through and interview suspect 1, suspect 2, suspect 3 until we get to the end. But then I would imagine it's time to start narrowing things down, and we're like, okay, well, we know suspect 3 is innocent. You know, I'm happy with their alibi. I'm happy with suspect 2's alibi. So it's between suspect 1, 4, and 5. So then at that point, maybe we go back to suspect 1, suspect 4, and suspect 5, just to kind of like, you know, start figuring out who the culprit is. So again, it's the same with these, right? When we get the assets for the suspects, we need to make sure we are able to go back to these. So all of this content, all of these assets that we generate for the mystery need to be retained, essentially. We don't have the luxury of just being able to ditch them, because we're probably going to want to be jumping back and forth between them, basically. Okay, so how are we going to do all this? Good question. Well, let's take a look. So this right here is our screen that goes in the background, right? There's our screen that goes in the background. That's going to show our scenes. So I've just called that rear screen for now. We're going to need a custom class creating. Okay, I think the class should be called image cycler. Essentially, it's kind of going to be like a slideshow class, right? Sort of. So what this class needs to be able to do is restore and remember images, and then we can sort of cycle through them at will, I would say. The issue is at the moment. Yeah, no, that's fine. I know what to do. I think I do. I'll call it an image store. Image store makes more sense, I think. Storing images. So we're going to put our image store class. No, it hasn't made it yet. Give us a second. There we go. Alright, so we've got an image store class. As the name suggests, this is going to be responsible for storing it and cycling images. So this one's pretty straightforward. Okay. So all it's going to be, we need system collections generic. For list, sorry, we got it there. And then we want a public list of textures. Texture 2Ds. Yeah, images is fine. Equals new list texture 2D. Then we'll have a public int for show image. I'm going to set it to -1 on default, meaning -1, I have no images to show. Right. And then what we can do is there's a few things we could do. See, what I could do is I could let's go to Photoshop. I don't want purple because purple is the color that I need. We're doing this is for this is probably going to be used for a murder mystery, right? So I think a blue dark. Yeah, those colors are all wrong. Actually, let's invert that. It still goes very bright, doesn't it? It's alright. I think it's darker than the other one. And like a dark blue. As generic as you can get, but that's what we want. I'm just going to put weird landscape. Far clip plane. This is the thing we need to change. Okay, when our murder mystery, I need to make sure I remember this. When our murder mystery loads, I'm guessing that's a Cinemachine virtual camera. Yeah. Probably because I need to be using Cinemachine, I would think. Okay, yeah. There we go. Small v, vcam 0. So on enable, we need to make sure the vcam 0, it's far clip plane, which is actually under lens, far clip plane. I don't know whether this is a get setter or not. Okay, it's saying it's happy with that. And then on disable, we need to make sure it gets reset back to 1.3. And there are some other things we need to do as well. So on enable and on disable, stuff like the cat's auto hide and stuff like that, which I think is set in cat anime cat, whatever it is, cat animals. Yeah, auto hide is set to 30 on anim cat, so we're going to need an anim cat. All right, link those. Okay, that just makes sure that the murder mystery game overrides cat's auto hide settings and the camera far distance field. So if we test that now, what we should get, hopefully,
I'm ready now.
right, when we turn the murder mystery on, there we go. I mean, okay, that waiting for first image actually only makes sense if we have nothing else to show, I would say. But for this specific thing, I think it would be better to have like a game title. Sure. This one's pretty good. Golf club homicide. I might have to come out of Photoshop and go back into it actually for that to show up. Do I? No, there it is. Okay. That's weird. Why did that? Christ knows. Okay. Why is it doing that? Oh, because S, that's actually kind of how S looks in this font, which is weird. Yeah, that S looks weird. That S doesn't look like it belongs to that font at all, does it? Yeah, that's a bit shit, actually. Why'd they screw the S up? I mean, the S does have like a little bit of that swooshy thing on it, but not. I think it looked better just as murder mystery, honestly. That looks good. Wait, that was on stroke still. Yeah, that's on stroke still. Okay, I want to do like a red. Dripping blood. That's not the right angle. Up. Yeah. How does it call it? Red rum. Title, I guess. Okay, close that. Close that. Close that. There we go. Okay. So instead of that being, it would look so much better. I call it red rum, didn't I? Red rum title. Yeah. So for this, why is Unity so buggy? So for this particular one, I think it'd be better if it just comes up with a title, right?
I'm ready, meow.
So we open our game. bit chilly out there. Got my window wide open. Let me just close it a little bit. I do want some air, but not that much. Okay. So pretty much straight away, Kat can start waffling on with an intro. Just while I'm testing it, I just wanna keep the numbers low. So we'll say like 4 pieces of evidence and between 4 and 5 suspects and 4 and 5 pieces of evidence. Normally I would want more probably, but the thing I'm worried about, well, I'm not worried about it, but the thing I've got to be conscious of is these DALL-E image requests are going to be a lot more expensive than, and by expensive I'm actually talking money now. So they obviously I pay for OpenAI's API usage. It's literally pennies for her normal chat completions, but I think the image ones, if I'm not careful, they could stack up quite quickly. Right, so back to our rear screen, which we were putting an image star on here. So now we have a public list of texture images that we can store, an indicator to say what the first image is. So our first condition is basically to load the first image once we receive it, right? So yeah, if show image, shit, we already have the if show image is -1, meaning it's not ready yet, and images.count is greater than 0, then basically our first image loaded, so we can go ahead and set show image to 0, which is the first image. And then we need a list, like a way of knowing what the previous image was. So we do a private int previous image. And then what we do is at the end of each update, we say previous image equals show image. And here we can say if show image is not previous image, then we change the image. Then basically get component raw image texture equals images at position show image. And that is literally all we need for that. So now we have a way to flip through images and store images. We need to change the way that DALL-E generates images now. So DALL-E is now going to deal with an image storer. So it's going to store an image in an image storer. And then if we want to swap to that image straight away, then we change the show image the value here. So let's see, back to our DALL-E services, OpenAI DALL-E here. So prompt in, and then what we do is we send the, okay, so that's because our AI, okay, so blah blah blah, okay. So we've got DALL-E we've got DALI API and we want a DALI request. So our DALI request needs changing. So now we don't want to send it because we might not want to. We want to generate this image, but we might not want to show the image straight away, right? You know what else? I think we might want like an ID because I can see this getting quite messy quite quickly. Because like, how do we know which image relates to which whatever, right? Yeah. So okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make it so that each image has an ID. Now we could make it so that the DALI request system automatically assigns an incremental ID, right? Because our DALI API can be like, okay, well, this is the first image I'm generating in this run session, so we'll call this image 1. Or this is the second image. The problem with that is the script that made the request might not, like, isn't necessarily going to know what image ID the image belongs to, and really it's the requester that's going to need to know what the image ID is. So it might be better that we just hard set these. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, so if we just modify this slightly, at the moment we store the texture on the request object, but I don't know that we want to keep, I don't know that we want to store the request object. I don't know that we want to keep the request object. I think it would be better. Okay, I'm going to change these. Right, this is the way it's going to work from now on. So the modifications I've made here is we now have an image ID, so so each image can have a serial number, so that the requester can always find that image again in an image store. So if you think about it, right, we can say image ID 1. Image ID 1 can be scene 1 on the landscape image screen, right? And then scene 2 can be image 2 on the same object controller. That way, when we want to know actually, let's call that store index because that makes more sense, right? So basically what we want to do is we want to say, okay, this is image 0. That way we know that the store index, we expect the storage, the image store on our output, to have this index that we hold for this generated image. That way we know that we can basically just pull this information here and say, okay, we know that scene 1 is at image store index 0, and we know that scene 2 is at store index 1. And then sure enough, as long as those indexes match this thing here, then we have a way of retrieving the pictures, right, without having to worry about where they are, or like search for them or whatever. Okay, interesting. But also, I noticed that DALL-E does something kind of interesting, right? It generates, what it does is it refines, when it responds, it refines the prompt and it gives some like interesting information about the image returned. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a custom DALL-E response class as well. Right, so we can put the store index, we can hold the store index, we can hold the prompt, we hold the size. We give it an image store component, which should be compulsory because we need to store the image somewhere. And this will be optional, right? And what this will basically do is if this is not null, DALL-E will literally load the image once it's finished generating it. Now for this particular thing I'm doing, I don't actually want to use this, but I can think of situations where maybe I will want to use it. Yeah, maybe. Okay, I suppose it depends, right? For this one, actually, I probably do want to use this for scene 1, but I won't want to use it for scene 2. But that just gives me some flexibility, right? So if we go back to our DALL-E API, at the moment we set generated output texture to current request output texture. But instead what we want to do is we want to go and get an image store component, get image store, and that wants to be the current request, what do you call it? Output texture. Let's call it image store. Okay, go back to the API request. Image store. And then we say get image store images, add generated texture. So now we put, it's probably a capital A, is it? Yeah. So now we store the generated texture in the image store that we asked it to store it in. And then this will be an if statement now. So we can say if it's the request type, isn't it? Image request. That's current request. If current request shown complete is not null, then we also want to send this texture directly to the output, the raw image output. So we want to say raw image. Do we not have Unity UI? No. Interesting. Okay. Now we do. So we want a raw image, get raw equals current request shown complete. Then we can say get raw texture equals generate texture. Okay, then we can get rid of that. Okay, so what now happens is each request. Oh, hang on, I'm not done yet though. The image store. Well, the image store. No, we don't need to store. Yeah, we won't need to store the ID. We could do something quite clever here though, because we want to make sure that the image store ID matches the actual ID on the image store, right? So we could do a basic test here. So here's how we do that. So basically we want to declare an integer and we'll call it check ID. And the integer check ID wants to be the current request store index. I suppose check index would be more accurate. So we'll declare an integer called current checker index, which is going to get the current requests dot store index. Because here's what we could do. This is kind of clever as well. The first thing we should do is check to see whether that index currently exists in the store or not. And if the index currently exists in the store, we will override the previous image at that index with the newly generated index. And if not, we will add it to the store. And at the end of all that, if the index still doesn't match the store, the only way that would happen is if we had an index of 2, but even after adding our new index, we only had 1 image, for example. Then we'll debug.log a warning to say, warning, you know what I mean? This index is not going to be the expected index. I suppose this could update the indexes. That's probably not a good thing to do though. Right, so we're checking. We can check to see if that index currently exists. So we can say if get image store images dot count it would be count -1 though, wouldn't it? Yeah, if count -1 is less than check index, then basically we add the image, right? So that would be when we do that. Then we need to do another check to see whether that actually adds up or not. And then the else to that is it means we're overriding an index, right? So if we're overriding the image, this becomes images at position check index equals, and we override that index there. Like that. Now after we've added that index, we now expect images count -1 to equal check index. So we do if get image store images count -1 does not equal check index still after that, then we just display a warning, right? We can say debug.log warning image stored at unexpected index. And then we can say the image's ID, right? Well, we already stored it in check index. And if things aren't working and we see this error message, we know it's because the expected index isn't lining up with what we expect it to be. And this also gives us the extra functionality now, where if we, let's say we go for a second game, right? Let's say, okay, we've figured out Will Smith did it. He's the killer. Now it's time to go and make a new game. Then we can say, okay, we want scene 1 at position 0, scene 2 at position 1. And rather than flood the memory with tons and tons of like previous murder locations, we basically just override that previous data at those expected indexes. So this becomes so much more like versatile now, because we're not just stacking and stacking and stacking. We are making sure the indexes line up with their expected indexes, and we dispose of anything that we don't need anymore. So that should be good. So we already said on our image storer that we're going to store an image. The expected index will just be the index of that image storer, so we don't need to worry about anything else. But what I'd like to do is this is where things get a little bit okay, because DALL-E images actually come with some interesting metadata that I do actually want to keep. So I'd like the response that DALL-E comes back with a really nice description, because that's going to be nice waffle that I can use to like. So when I'm dealing with this problem here where we're waiting for content to generate and it's coming back, the DALL-E meta that we're getting anywhere, whether we want it or not, is actually quite nice flavor text or whatever for like the crime scenes and stuff. So I need a way now to store that. So we need to flesh this out even more. So what we need to do, so we've got a DALL-E request and a DALL-E API. I think what we need now is a DALL-E response type. So I'm going to make another custom class and I'm going to call it a DALL-E response. Okay, and all the response wants to do is it wants to allow for an additional field. So at the moment, so this is weird. So at the moment, we're able to store a texture when we get a result back, and then the indexes take care of themselves. But since we're making a custom class for it anyway, I think we should store the store index number directly on the DALL-E response. We also want a public texture 2D, which is the image itself. Helps if I spell it right. We could store the original prompt that was used to generate the image. And then we can store the response that we received back as well from the metadata of the prompt. Now this changes things drastically in that we now, an image store no longer are you? Hello over on YouTube. An image store no longer. This is an issue. It's not really an issue. See, what I would need to do now is make the image store DALL-E responses rather than images directly. It just means that I can't use that class if I want to like get images with Google or something, which I may want to do at some point. So I'm just wondering if I should rename image store to say really it's like a DALL-E store, because this is only going to store AI generated images. Because if we're holding this information about each generated image, obviously that doesn't work for something like Google. How are you? I'm pretty good. How's yourself? I'm not going to worry too much about it yet. I'm just going to change. Okay, I'm going to change that so that instead of storing our images as texture 2Ds now, we need to store them as DALL-E requests. Okay, so now we're storing DALL-E requests. If a new image comes in, we can't just say images show image. You're good, excellent. Good to hear. So we can't just say images show image, because images now contains a list of DALL-E requests, right? So what we need to do is first we need a DALL-E request type. Which will say get request, and get request will be images at position show image, and now we've got a request type, and then our texture will come from get request stored image. Weird. Oh, it's because I did it as a DALL-E request. This is a DALL-E response. Oh, I put that as a request as well. No wonder it's not working. Right, sorry, these should be responses. So these are responses. We get the response, would make more sense, right? And then get response dot stored image. There it is. So now we can get the image from the response type directly. Sorry for interrupting. Can you try say my name? Agnes, was that? Let's have a look. It's very small. I have a very small second screen. Agnes Wemgelin? Is that right? I think either Wemgelin or Wemgelin. Thanks. Did I get it right? Right, argument 1 cannot convert. Okay, so this is going back to our blah, 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 blah. Right, now our DALL-E API doesn't know how to store the images, because obviously the images now needs to be stored in a response. So we get our image store at the moment. You're from Sweden, kinda. You see, cause I'm English. Yeah, my other language skills are very, very limited. It always impresses me that cause like most people I've met who aren't English, they speak English so well, and I'm like, that's not even your normal language. Like, we do learn a bit of French, and that you can take Spanish and stuff like that in school, but yeah, I think because English is just sort of the universal language, I think that makes us a little less bilingual, if that makes sense. I don't think we don't put as much emphasis on learning like a foreign language as maybe other countries kind of feel the need to, I guess, because English is such a universal language. And it always impresses me how how well other people can speak English, and I think, oh wow, I can't speak any other languages. But yeah, I think the older you get as well, the harder it is to learn a new language, definitely. I did learn some Japanese, but I've mostly forgotten it all now. Okay, so now we need to add our generated texture through the response. So the moment I get image store, let's have a look. Get image store, where do I get that? Current request image store. Add generated texture. Generated texture is get image store, images, add. Cannot convert from Unity texture 2D to DALL-E response. Get image store is the current request image store. Wait a minute. That shouldn't have changed requests though, right? Why am I confused right now? Why am I confused? Yeah, because okay, yeah, of course. It's because our image store now stores DALL-E responses and not textures directly. So what we need to do here is once we've got our image store, we also need to declare a response type, right? So we need a DALL-E response, new response equals new. DALL-E response. There we go. Okay, so DALL-E response, new response equals new DALL-E response. So now we have DALL-E response. No, we don't. We have new response that we want to address as we get down, drill down to the texture. Oh, let me think about this. I need to see what it does because I know that the metadata that I want to store, it normally comes back through the it's this one here. Print response. Response is request.downloadHandler.text. Okay, so this is what we need for the data. So there's a few things we need in response right now. So we can say new response stored response equals request download handler.text. New response stored prompt wants to equal whatever the original image prompt was. So we have that stored in prompt in is a new list of DALL-E requests. So it's from the original request. So we need to address the original request. So this is kind of awkward. DALL-E request, current request. Oh yeah, okay. So our DALL-E request is current request. So we can basically query our current request and say it's the current request dot the prompt. Right. So we're storing our original prompt in stored prompt. We get our response text and store it in stored response. Then here, when we get our texture, it's basically new response dot hang on. No, first we need to store the texture in the response as well, don't we? So stored image equals generated texture. Okay, we stick the texture into stored image now, and then we can just add the new response. And then here, we're checking the index on the store to make sure it matches our expected index. So we can no longer say images that check index override it with a generated texture. We would say override it with the new response. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. Love Japanese. I'm in the time of learning it. Are you learning it yourself? By the way, Philly, you're a nice guy. Thank you. I get very grumpy though. Very, very grumpy. Okay, I'm gonna save that. I think that should work. Okay, let's see if that works. There's no errors, so that's always a good sign. But it's a bit early to tell yet. Right, now at the moment, all I had... So we need to check this, actually. I had a stored request, didn't I? Actually, I think it's time to push the request through then when we generate our murder scene. So if we go... Okay, leave those open for now. I don't need that. Image store should be fine. So on murder mystery, here we go. Let's close maze game as well. Okay. Listener, we don't need that. And engagement, we don't need that. Be right back, we don't need that. Okay, this is all our current stuff that we're working on. So we load our places, we load our people, we load our causes. We need to put a request through to DALL-E. Do we have a reference to it? Listeners, VCAM. We actually don't, so we need a DALL-E. A DALL-E API, but we also need to create... Yeah, we also need to create a request as well. So we need a DALL-E API reference. Okay. So I want a DALL-E API reference. Which I'll call DALL-E API. And then let's see, generate evidence, which before that. So during our generation of our game, right, so we go and pick our location. So I think after we've picked our location, this is where, right, we've set the location here. So now that we've set the location, we can go ahead and generate our location image, right? Our like scene one, as it were. So what we need to do is we need to create a DALL-E request. So once again, like, right, we'll create new request equals new DALL-E request. So a new request, let's see, what do we have in a request again? Okay, so let's see this. So for this specific thing, so we can see what we need there for our request. So our new request, we want to store index. So new request store index for this one is going to be 0. Because we expect it to end up in store at store position 0, because this is our first image. And then our prompt, we say the prompt equals, we've got our location now, which is location. So basically it wants to be location scene where a murder has occurred. We'll put mysterious as well. So we're asking for beach, park, whatever it happens to be, right? Whatever we randomly generate, hospital scene where a mysterious murder has occurred. So that will become the prompt that we want our image to be generated off. The size, for this new request size, we know it wants to be one of the landscape ones, so we can see the sizes there. So we set the size for this one to 1792 by 1024. Okay. Yeah, I will load it. I will tell it to load once it's completed. So what we want to do here is we want to pass the raw image of our rear screen to show on complete, and we need to give it that image store as the image store. Hello, I'm getting it's very busy on YouTube today. It's not like YouTube. YouTube is very busy now. So now we need to make sure we have a reference to the store. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to type some garbage in here just so I can find my way back quickly. So we want an image store which can also contain a raw image on it. So basically our rear screen now has the image store and the raw image on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a game object reference of the rear screen because we can get components off that, right? So if I do a public game object rear screen, and then back here I can say new request. Let's just see what we need again. We need new request image store equals rear screen get components image store on that, and then our new request show on complete is rear screen get components raw image. Do we not have Unity UI? Let's have a look. No, we don't. Okay, so we need to add that. So we need to be using Unity Engine .ui and then go back to that, and then we should be able to say raw image. There it is. Boom, done. So now we've created our request. We need to push this request to our DALL-E API. So let's do that. There we go. So we've got a DALL-E API now. It should have a capital D, I think. Yeah, there it is. DALL-E API dot, and if we look at that, our control is prompt in. So we want to say prompt in add new request. Boom, and then DALL-E will go and generate the image. It knows to output the image to our control here once it's completed. So everything should be taken care of now. So we just need to test it. How are you? I'm pretty good. How about yourself, Cloudy? Cloudy is a great name for somebody who vapes a lot like me. I vape a lot. Yeah, Cloudy would be a great name for anybody who vapes a lot. So I need to make sure all my links are in place. So let's just do that. So we have a DALL-E API, which is there. A rear screen, which is there. And hopefully everything should work. Let's find out. Alright, let's see if that works. Oh, scared. Scared.
I'm ready, meow.
Okay, we're getting some null references. That's odd. Oh, I know why. It's because we trigger, it's because previous image doesn't start off as -1, so instantly on frame 1 it detects a change. So the way we fix that is we just make sure that previous image is also set to -1 so that it only actually legitimately detects changes. So that's why that was occurring. Ignore this, this is just Unity being Unity. Nothing to worry about.
I'm ready, meow.
Okay, so DALL-E should be going and getting an image for us. Hopefully. I can see the evidence is being generated. There we go. And it automatically loaded the image. So it looks like, oh wow, we even got a dead body in this. This is great. This is fantastic. Look at this. So if we look, it picked a farm, so we ended up with a murder in a farm during the afternoon. The victim was Daniel Tosh. Killer is Amir Khan. Cause of death, electrocution. That's creative. Our suspects are Neil deGrasse Tyson, Amir Khan, Robbie Williams, and Ed Sheeran. I think Ed Sheeran did it personally. We already know he didn't, but I just think it's funny to think that Ed Sheeran did it. Brilliant. So we know that's all working, right? That's fantastic. And if we look in our image store on the rear screen, we should see, there it is. There's our stored image. It says none because it's a DALL-E response, but you can see it's a DALL-E response in there. So if we wanted to query whatever, so like what we want to do, for example, is we're going to want whatever's in this metadata. We want whatever's in this metadata from the response to be described here when the farm loads. In fact, yeah, there's our response from DALL-E. So basically what it came back with was this. Visualize an intriguing farm scene depicting an unsolved mystery of a homicide. On a misty morning, the camera pans over the deserted farmland. A worn-out wooden barn stands in the background, while faded tractors and farming equipment lie scattered. So this is what I wanted to keep, right? This is why I wanted to store the... because this is really creative stuff. I love it. So we can have cats say all this and stuff as well. So... now what do we do? Well, we have our scene automatically generate. We have a lot of our like murder mystery metadata automatically generate. So now it's just a matter of timing. So let me think about this. So these generated images, interestingly enough, oh, this is where things get tricky. So there's a few ways we could go about doing this, right? Because I could make it so that when a response comes back from DALL-E, we automatically add scripts to the speech engine. The only problem with that is it becomes difficult to know. Right, the problem with that is, so when, like this will be, so here's an example, right? This text is what I wanted to say when she shows scene 1, right? So she shows scene 1 and then I wanted to say this. The problem is we're then going to go and get suspect images, and if we send their responses as text to the speech engine, what will happen is the speech engine will get like a queue of speech items. which it will, like the speech engine automatically, will automatically work its way through these. But the problem is, let's say 2 is suspect 1, okay, and 3 is suspect 2, and 4 is suspect 3. I have no way of knowing this, right? And we want to show the image from the suspects with the lines of speech that she's delivering. So if we were going to do it using this method, we would need an additional field in the speech engine that tells us that, okay, there is an image associated with this speech, and we need to show this image, and this is where it's stored, and this is how we load it. So that's one way we could do it. Let me just, requires additional image display fields in speech engine. So I don't particularly want to go down that route. Another way we could do it, although that would be quite nice. What I like about that method though is it means the pro of doing it this way, so we could do like pros and cons, right? So the pro of doing it that way is we automatically handle timings such as wait and queue. That's the best thing about that. The con is what I just set up there, right? The con is it requires additional fields in the speech engine for image delivery. But the pro is quite good, to be honest, because if we don't solve this problem in the speech engine, it means we need to solve the problem within the murder mystery game itself. So I'm just trying to think what the best way is to do this. This makes me wish that I'd done something when I first built the new speech engine, actually. And it makes me wish I'd serialized every speech request, because then by having a unique serial number on each speech request, what I could have done is I could have just stored serial numbers of the speech requests against these pieces of, like, these images. And then once we get a match, we know, okay, this particular line of dialogue has an image associated with it. But yeah, ultimately that's the problem we're trying to solve. Ultimately the problem we're trying to solve now is how can we link speech dialogue with the images that they're meant to be representing, and how do we handle the timings of those. So the other way of doing it, which is the way I originally considered doing it, actually, this is integrate into speech engine directly. The other way of doing it would be to basically just is to queue the waits and deliveries in the game system, in this game system itself, as the content's coming in. So the biggest pro here is works with existing speech engine setup. The biggest con here is requires manually handling each transition independently. Or does it? Or does it? We still have a little bit of this problem though. We still won't know. We still won't know when the speech engine has finished delivering a line of dialogue specific to a specific thing, right? So this is our biggest issue. Our biggest issue is currently we have no way of knowing when she's finished delivering a chunk of speech that relates to a specific asset, right? Okay, here's what we could do. We could make a copy of the existing speech engine and make like a variant. So we could make a speech engine variant of the existing speech engine. So rather than use her existing speech engine for this, because also I was considering, okay, this does have some pros to it, because I was also considering using different voices, right? Because in this murder mystery, we want to be able to interview the suspects, right? Now, and I thought it would be a little bit weird if Kat's text-to-speech is playing the role of each and every individual suspect. So one of the advantages of making a speech engine variant specific for the murder mystery is then we can start experimenting with different voices in the speech engine, right? And then we can also give it additional fields which allow us to link this generated content to specific lines of dialogue. That way, this speech engine variant can be aware of where it's up to in the mystery, and it can also have additional settings for changing voices as well. That might be the best way to do this. Okay, that might be the best way to do this. However, this is a little bit risky. Not really risky, but I want to back the project up right now. Oh, you know what? I never actually... Did I not do the new backup? Oh, yes, I did. Thought I did last night. So I'm just going to make a quick backup of the project. Just put that over there so I can keep an eye on it. Yeah, so I think the best solution to this problem is to create a speech engine variant specific for the murder mystery. And this would need to incorporate additional voices for interviewing suspects and additional asset timing info to align dialogue with images, etc. I think this is our solution here. Alright, our project's nearly finished backing up. There we go. All right. Yeah, I think this would be a nightmare to manage, right? Because I still don't even really know how we would do that. Okay, so we need to create a speech engine variant. How the hell are we going to do that? Well, it's not too bad actually. So we have our speech engine under systems, which looks like this. So I'm going to start by okay, I'm going to start by copying the speech engine script which is this one. Yeah, we're probably gonna need stuff like this as well. We're gonna need all kinds of fancy stuff on this one, to be honest. Yeah, I think we need a custom speech engine. Okay. Terrifying. Okay. So we will call this I'm going to call it speech extend, right? Because that's basically what it's going to be. So I'm going to duplicate speech. Speech extended. Oh, we'll make it line up with speech extend is fine. And then in our speech extend script, just going to rename this to speech extend so that the class lines up with the file. And then in our speech extend game object, we need to make sure we're working with the correct script. So in order to sort of refer to this, so like voice here, right? Does that actually, that's interesting. So we already have a voice changer on the original engine, which is quite nice. Does that actually work though? There's only one way to find out. So this is the one we use for cat, right? English Great Britain Standard F. It's okay because I'll remember. And I can always refer to the other one. Let's see what happens if we change it to... I think this does work actually. Because I thought I might want to do different speech things. So I'm just going to disable the original speech engine. Actually, this is the original speech engine. That's fine. So I'm just going to run that and it should say, I'm ready meow, this is a test for a different voice. And hopefully it'll come back in a different voice, which means this works, which is saves me a lot of trouble actually, because I thought I was going to have to deal with that, but it looks like I already thought of it, which is nice.
I'm ready meow. This is a test for a different voice.
That is a beautiful murder mystery voice, to be honest. Yeah, I don't even know whether I want cat. Maybe I just get rid of cat for this actually. Maybe I just teleport cat out the hell out of here. So like this could be the narrator voice actually. That's quite a nice narrator voice. Yeah, but basically, okay, this one's going to work very differently. Yeah, so that does work, so that's good to know actually. Okay, sure. I don't even know this is going to be speech extended. I think this is more like speech narrate or something. I don't know. Well, we'll keep it as speech extend. It's fine, I guess. Just add speech extend to this. Okay. So yeah, I quite like that one actually as a narrator. But these are going to be quite hard to change because currently they're in the inspector. So, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is turn that off. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do for this system is at the moment the voice is set as a one-to-one like relationship thing, right? But instead that's a serialized private field of voice. Okay, so I'm going to change the way this works. So instead I'm going to make this public and I'm going to make it a list. Now what we'll do, we'll use voice. We will set voice because it's already set to use voice. But what I'll do is I'll do a public list of voice scriptable objects. And I'll call it voices and make a new list of voice scriptable objects. You know what, I will make that private and we'll make it so that the get set functionality is done by integer, by public integer. Okay. So the way this new one's going to work is we set a public integer to whatever the voice is in the index. And then this current voice is going to be set to this current voice. So before we do our speech, so let's see where voice is set. So voice is set when we call text to speech get audio from Google, right? So before we set the voice, we'll say voice equals voices at position current voice. There we go. This just makes sure that each request as we put it through. Oh, that's kind of awkward actually. Shit. I just realized something. Okay, the problem is when we speak lines at whatever this voice is going to be. But if we want to if we want a conversation between two people, really a voice might change between lines, right? And this is a queuing system. So the issue we have here is whatever the voice happens to be set to at the time that we send the request out to Google's API, whatever the voice happens to be set to at that moment is whatever voice we end up getting, right? The problem is if we're swapping voices, which we will be in this one, regularly, that might not be the voice that we wanted for that specific line of dialogue. So essentially, this speak lines needs to be extended. So we no longer just take a string. But I want to do that anyway, right? So what we need now, we've got a speech extend. This is the speech extend manager. Speak lines. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new script called speak line extend. And this is where we're going to handle all our fields for a new speech request. Okay. So I'm going to use an integer called voice index instead of that current voice that gets changed in real time as we're putting the request through. Now each speak line will have a voice index attached to it. Speak line. Hello, Lil Nya. Lil Nya. Thank you for the follow. So we'll have a string of speak line, which is obviously the line that we're going to speak, which is what we currently do. I think also we might want to set like a custom subtitle. So at the moment, Cat uses text message pro control. So if we go in here, there it is, right? We've got a text mesh subtitle control. So this is where Cat puts her output text. For this murder mystery, I'm going to set up a new one of these because I think it would be better to use something else and maybe different colors, because pink doesn't really make sense for a murder mystery for a start. There's one thing, but also maybe we'd want like different subtitles for different characters, right? So I wonder if I should make it so we can change subtitle controls per voice line. Or maybe it would just be called, I think it's just colors, to be honest. I think we would use the same subtitle control, but I think we would want a different color for the subtitles, because I always like it when different characters speak different colors, right? Yeah, I think I'll do that. So a color 32. I'll spell it the British way because I'm British. There we go. Speak color. And then we can have a separate color for a separate speaker. If we really wanted to go crazy with this, we could actually set up a speaker class, and then we could assign the color on a per speaker basis. But for this murder mystery, we'll probably do that anyway. So when we generate our random list of suspects, we'll probably generate like, I don't know, random colors for each suspect or whatever. Or maybe we'll just put in our murder mystery thing, you know, suspect 1 is always this color, suspect 2, you know, and just come up with like a set number of colors that are nice for each speaker. I don't know if this is overkill, to be honest, because it's not like we're going to be interviewing more than one suspect at a time anyway. I don't even know. I don't want to be at this forever. We can always flesh this out with more stuff later. The important thing is not even that. The important thing is what I was talking about there, right? My biggest issue is being able to time the assets, the image assets, with dialogue. So let me think about this. Yeah, I really have to think about this. Oh, let me think about this. So what we need now is a solution for this, right? So let's break it down. So in order to time assets with dialogue, right? What do we need to display one of these assets? Well, what do we have? Essentially, we have a texture that we're trying to display, and the texture is being displayed on a raw image component. But the raw image component is going to be different depending on what it is that we're showing, right? So when we're changing scenes, the raw image component is going to be on the rear screen canvas thing. But then, I haven't done it yet, but I am going to set up suspects. They're going to have their own like areas where they display, and then evidence is going to have its own area where they display. So essentially, the output is going to change based on what this texture represents, right? Is this a texture for a suspect or evidence, or is it like a scene, right? So whatever we store here, there's a few ways of doing this. We could either store, like we could make the speech engine like in its most basic form. We could store a texture against the line of dialogue, right, and say this is the texture we want to load whilst this dialogue is being spoken. The problem with that is, like I say, we have different types of textures that go to different places depending on what it is. Now, the simple solution to this would be to create a class or something that says, okay, well, we know we've got a texture that's an output. We know we have 3 different types of textures that go to 3 different outputs. So then you just do something similar to a state machine, right? And then you just say, okay, texture 1 equals output 1, texture 2 equals output 2, and then each texture request contains this sub information within its subclass structure. Why am I making this noise? I don't know. I don't even know if that's enough though. Probably is, because I just thought of like, is there a situation where we want to change the scene along with the suspect at the same time? Possibly, but to be honest, the way I get around that is I just add a new line of dialogue that introduces the new scene. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if we go from like, I don't know, interviewing the last suspect onto the first piece of evidence, and I want to change the scene along with it, rather than make this even more complicated in order to handle that, I could just create a new piece of dialogue that says, okay, now we're changing the scene, and my dialogue is, meanwhile, back at the... Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm sure I can think of something creative to just say with that line of dialogue that allows me to change the scene, right? So I think if each line of dialogue is capable of storing information about what texture we want to change and where we want to change it, that should be enough to solve this problem, I think. But for that, we are going to need an additional class that stores a texture and an output to where the texture is going. Now, we already have a class of an image store, right? I'm just trying to think, is there any way, because we kind of already do that with the responses in a way. Like a DALL-E response knows which image store it's going to, and it knows the store index. But we don't keep the responses. But maybe we should. But then, see, then it's even more awkward because, okay, we could keep all of the responses, but then we've still got to identify which response is responsible for which image or whatever the hell. But essentially, we do have one response. Essentially, we do have one response per generated image. So rather than create new classes, it would be efficient if we can use this response class to track these image outputs. Because we do store these responses in the image store, right? That is true. So I think we could just use DALL-E response. I think we have what we need already. I think if I go into my speech extend request, where is it? Speak line extend. I think we could literally just use a DALL-E request for this. And just call it like is request. Maybe for request makes more sense. So this is for request. Yeah, because that request should have in it already everything we need to do what we need to do. I think that's all we need then. So then back in our speech extend list where we were storing lines of text, now we would need to store, let's just drop that down a sec. Now we would need to store speak line extends types. And then we get errors because it doesn't know how to get the speech from that. So that's speak lines 0. Yeah, this is gonna. Let me think. What's the easiest way? Because this is, I suppose there's only 9 errors. I thought there'd be more than that actually. You know what? We can cheat here. We can cheat here. Let's do something else. Because this script's already expecting a private list of strings for the lines to speak, and essentially these are still the lines that we need to speak, let's leave that in as it is. Make it private. We'll make our public list, which is essentially our inbox, we'll just give it a new name. So it wants to have a speak line extend type, which will say I don't know what to call it. It's suggesting speak line extends, but I'll call it speech requests. I think that makes more sense. And then all we need to do is inherit the line from the speech request before we get to that part in the script. Then we'll have the data that we need at this point without having to change any of our syntax. The main syntax we need to change is at the moment we say if speak lines.count is greater than 0 and it's not busy, then we go ahead and speak lines. But this should probably be if speech requests dot count is greater than 0. Then speak line, and we take speak lines at position 0. So this is also the best place to strip that out, right? This is going to get kind of hairy pretty quickly. It should be fine. We'll figure it out. This should be fine. But we need to add that line in. So we would need to say speak lines dot add speech request, and it's always going to be the top request, so it's at position 0, and then speak line. So essentially we grab the line from speech line requests, stick it into the original control that we were reading from, and then we don't have to change our syntax down here. However, the extended functionality that we're aiming for, we still need to handle all of that. So as nice as that was to kind of just bend that to our will to some degree, bend that to fit the new structure, yeah, we still need to obviously deal with the extended fields that we've added now in speech line request. But let me just take a look at that. Text to speech, that's our control. That was our old speech. Yeah, that was our old speech script. This is our speech extend script. Okay, so text to speech needs to still, where? That's itself though. Wait. Shit. Oh, because there is, okay, there is a TTS script on here as well. Okay, I see. I see, said the blind man. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, we could use that one. It doesn't really matter which one we use, I guess. We may as well use the one on our self, I guess. Audio source. What is meant to be the audio source? Well, it depends, right? Because before, oh, that's a good point as well, right? Is okay for Kat's speech engine, the audio source is her, so that she does lip syncing and stuff. But for this one, we're probably not going to have Kat say everything, so we should probably set up a new audio source, I'm guessing, for the narrator's voice, because I've got an audio source which is essentially my microphone and my model. Kat's got an audio source which is on Kat and on her model. But for this is essentially like a narrated speech, right? So it's supposed to be like coming from, I don't know, non-diegetic sources, I guess. So we are going to need to set up a new audio source. Okay, so we can do that. There's no reason not to stick it on here, to be fair. Yeah, because then we know where it is, right? Yeah, that's fine. We'll just stick it on here and then we'll just point to ourselves. Speech extend. Cat spectrum we won't want because we're not doing, yeah, these are all for Cat. We don't care about those anymore. So also we can neaten some of this up, right? If we go in here. So we want to get rid of animcat, cat spectrum, auto clear text, we still need that. Last speech index, we still need that. Twitch chat, this isn't going to be reading Twitch messages, So it doesn't need that. It doesn't need Twitch Pro. It isn't going to be handling tasks. So it doesn't need a step counter. It is going to need a listener because we are going to need to interact with our voice. It doesn't need a task manager. And I can't remember what camera 0 was used for. That might be for auto hide. I'm not sure actually. Okay, so first of all, let's go and fix all those errors that we just made by stripping out all the functionality that we don't want. So we can get rid of that. Okay, this was for tasks. Yeah. Appear cooldown. This was for waking cat, which we no longer do. So essentially, yeah, a lot of this shit actually is now no longer valid. So all we really care about is what's in here. And a lot of this we don't actually want. So if we just stick that up here, get rid of all of that because we don't need that. We don't need that because that's for Twitch pronunciations. That's for Twitch pronunciations. So we can get rid of pronounce name. We're not doing tasks. We don't need that. Confirmation response. We are going to need one of those. Set up task. We don't need that. We're not doing tasks in this one. We don't use cat, so we don't need appearance cooldowns. Audio clip receipt. Okay, we've got a lot of shit in here. We're not pronouncing names. We don't need that. Okay, we do need those. Some of these. Okay. Handle confirmation response. Speak line. Limit length. Stop command. That was for reader. We don't use reader. I thought we had something. This is for, again, pronouncing like Twitch names and stuff. Yeah, this is for interacting with, that was for interacting with chat and stuff, which this isn't going to do. Okay, so the only thing we need to do here now is that, because the other thing was for tasks. Ah! So we can get rid of all of that. We don't use anim cat because that's for cat. So we don't need that. We do need that. We don't need that because that's for tasks. And we don't need those because those are for cat. Okay, that should be most of the errors, but there's still one left, which is just that bit there. Alright. I think that is probably good. So that should have condensed things a bit. So we only have the functionality that we need. That's looking a lot better already. Since our audio source is anything that's like itself as well is kind of like unnecessary. So like the TTS is this, right? Get component TTS. The audio source is this dot get component audio source. So for these two fields here, to be fair, this would also be true on the other one, but it's fine. So on our audio source should be private. There it is. And then we just say audio source on start. If I can find it. Equals get component audio source. There we go. That did not need to be public. Why does it hate that? What? Oh, because it's got a small a, that's why. There we go. Okay, and then the other one was TTS. TTS. There it is. Oh, it's a serialized field. Yeah, we don't need it to be serialized. And then TTS is text to speech. There we go. And then that will just get rid of those other two fields for us. There we go. That's looking much better. And then we need to make a new subtitle. So we added our audio source, right? Let's just move that up there actually somewhere. Yeah, we can get rid of that old speech script as well actually. We don't even need that for reference anymore. This is looking much better. We've got our confirmation listener, which we are going to need. We've got our TTS script, which does the Google requests. Listener we are going to need, so that's in its usual place. I don't know what cam0 even was for. I can't see that this script would need it, to be honest. What did we even use that for? Whatever it was, it's gone. So we can get rid of that as well. And then we just need to make a new subtitle for the murder mystery. So if we go to our existing subtitle, which is this one, right? Duplicate that. And we'll call it text murder. That's not an R. There we go. Then we can, now we can start to sort of, I think, bigger. Oh, not that big. Yeah, and now, because now as well, right, we were making room for Cat, but Cat's not going to be in the picture anymore. Sorry, Cat. This isn't Cat's jam. Always shows me the back of the canvas just to annoy me. There we go. Now we can see our control. So now we can go all the way out, right? Also, it was right aligned. The other one was right aligned because I was trying to keep it close to Cat, right? But now it makes more sense for this to be centered. So this one wants to be centered. I think we should take it down a little bit. It definitely doesn't want to be pink, right? For a murder mystery, I think something a bit more blue or something would be nice. Or green or something. Green's nice, actually. I don't know. Whatever, we'll figure it out. And this one can maybe be a little bit further down. There we go. And then now we can have like it all show up like that, which I think is much better. So Get rid of that. Go back to our speech extend. And then TXT murder is our subtitle for it. Okay, so yeah, now now this one doesn't let me do what I was doing in the other one, which was like I can say I'm ready meow or whatever the hell. Oh, another thing is what we need to do now is if we go to our voice assets, there we go. We need to add all these into the database, so let's do that. So how many are there? Oh. Also, there are a lot more than this as well. By the way, to be fair, I would only use standards because these are they charge different prices for this, and the standard ones are like cheap as hell, and I actually quite like them. And I don't make any money off the stream really, so I would only use these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voices. I would think. So let's make 5 voices. Yeah, because these neural ones and that, they get insanely expensive, and it's like... And I don't even think they sound any better than the standard ones, to be honest. I've actually tried them, and they don't really sound that much better. In fact, I think they actually sound worse. Alright, so we put our voice banks in here. So we would use A, B, C, D, and F. And then if we just want to change a voice per voice line request or whatever, we can just set it as, you know, a value between 0 and 5, would it be? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 4, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, so we can have 5 different voices, and we can change the voice per speech request now. Sure. To test this, I'm just going to make a new game object, and we'll do a speech request. So we'll just do a test request, which rhymes, of course, because if you ain't rhyming in 2024, like little big JBGZZ dog, you know, because I'm cool and I'm hip with the kids. I know my shiz. I know my shiz, man. Then you just ain't hip. You just ain't fly. You just ain't groovy, dude. All right. Wow, I'm so cool. So what was I saying? I was talking bollocks basically. Request. Nope, it's called a speak line extend now, isn't it? Sounds so fucking wanky. Whatever. Okay, so we can do voice index 0, for example, and we'll do, well, how about this? I'll say test voice 0. This, we don't even look at this yet because we haven't coded that functionality in, but we've got a test request there. We'll do 2 more, and we'll do voice 2, and we'll do voice 4. And then this can be test voice 2 dog. Well, it should be dog. And then this one could be voice 4. Test voice 4 my ninja. Alright. And then what we can do is add these test voice requests. Boop. Boop. Boop, and make sure that's working. So what we should get now, if this is all working, we should get the new subtitle displaying the text. We should get 3 different voices as it processes these 3 separate voice requests. So let's make sure that's all working.
Test voice 0. Test voice 0. Test voice 0. Test voice 0. Test.
Okay, I know why it's doing that. So basically, I said to trigger the thing based off of the new list thing, but when I say remove art, yeah, here, speak lines, remove art, we no longer look at that anymore. So I basically just need to say request as well, right? So our speech request. I also need to remove 0 speech request, basically. Would I also clear that as well? Probably. Alright, let's try it now. See, this is why we test these things. It's fine.
Test voice 0. Test voice 0. Test voice 0. Test voice 0. Test voice.
What are you doing, man? Obviously, I never, ever, ever make mistakes. But if I was to make a mistake, I'm just demonstrating what that would look like, you see. Because I feel sorry for my viewers because I never make a mistake, my poor viewers probably don't know what a mistake looks like. So I'm doing this on purpose to show you what a mistake looks like. And this here is what a mistake looks like, right? We would do speech request. But obviously, I'm doing this on purpose just to demonstrate what that would look like, because I would never make a mistake. I would never accidentally make a mistake. Everything, I'm in full control of everything all the time. So, and then, see, fooled you. You thought I actually missed that. But I knew all along that I'd missed that. So let's try it now.
Test voice 0. Test voice 2 dog. Test voice 4 my ninja.
Bitch, she said them all in the same voice, didn't she? It sounded like the same voice to me. Why is she not changing the voices is the question. Oh, I know why. Because, yeah, these shouldn't exist anymore. Because we need to inherit them from the request itself. So our voice, okay, so here's what we do. We declare a voice scriptable object, okay, and we say get voice. And we can actually just say equals voice requests is it voice request? What do we call it? Speech request. God damn it, I knew that. I just wanted to make sure you were paying attention. Alright? Because I knew you weren't paying attention. So that's why I did that. Because clearly, if you're not paying attention, alright, you're going to miss stuff like that. But I would never miss anything like that. Speech requests 0. So we've got our speech request. Shit. Okay, you know, first we actually need to get the request. But I knew that. Of course I knew that. You think I didn't know that? How dumb do you think I am? Okay, so we've got our voice, speak line extend. Get request equals speech requests 0. Okay. Then our get request dot get voice, right? So it would be voice. Oh no, we used an integer. Shit. Ah! I deleted voices, didn't I? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Okay. Bloody hell. Okay, it's fine. We just said voices at position get voice index, right? There you go. Now we've got the voice, and now with get voice we can say voice. But wait. Voice does not exist in the current context. So we'll just say get voice. There we go. Boom, done. Do you like that? Alright, now it will just be flawless, just like me. Flawless.
Test voice 0. Test voice 2 dog.
Test voice 4, my ninja.
Oh, that's a familiar voice. Hello, cat. Okay. So as you can see, that is definitely working now. So now our speech extended script. We got our murder scene in the hospital. This is great. I'm so excited. And obviously we got the new subtitle, right? We saw the new subtitle, so we know that's working as well. So we're pretty much good to go. But we need to add the feature so now we can display voices. Display voices? God, what am I saying? Speak! Speak, boy, speak! English! Now we can have different voices narrated, right? We are displaying them to the correct subtitles. We get Cat the hell out of here for this, right? We'll just teleport her out of here, I think. I might even get rid of my character model, I'm not sure. I might leave him in. I don't know. I'll figure that out. So essentially things are coming together, right? But what we need to do, because obviously all of this was to address this problem of like how do we line up the assets with the dialogue. We need to add that extra functionality in, which is that we send a request through, a DALL-E request through with a speech control so that the speech engine knows what images to display with which pieces of dialogue, essentially. So in our murder mystery script, we now need an extended speech reference. So this would be speech. Right, it's because it wants speech extended. I think we want speech extend. Speech extend. So now, so another thing we want to do is on our enable and on our disable. Here's what we want to do. This is a neat trick. What we want to do is we want to store a private vector 3 original cat position. And so what we do on enable is we say original cat position equals animcat game object transform local position, and then animcat game object transform local position equals new vector 3, and we'll just put her at some obscure. Get her the frick out of here, basically. And then what we do is on disable we put cat right back where she was, so we say original position, original cat position. There we go. So what should happen now is cat should get the frick out of here when our murder mystery loads. Just make sure that works. Come on. Come on, Yoni! What are you waiting for, you bastard? What is going on? Why is it taking so long? Yeah, I should think so. Oh, I got scared then. Did you see? It was like, oh, don't shout at me. You knows the boss. You know the bosses. You bastard. Alright, so we should have a reference to speech extended in here. There we go. Okay. And when we press play now,
Test voice 0. Test
I'm ready,
voice
meow.
2 dog.
Test voice 4, my ninja.
that didn't bloody work at all, did it? Also, why is cat? Oh, we must have a murder at school. This is really cool. I really like this dially thing. It's pretty cool. Now, why, oh why didn't that work? I have no bloody idea. I don't need those in my debug though. Those are working fine. I don't need them in my debug. Why might that have not worked? Something could be overriding Cat's position, like her animator is the most likely thing that's happening. Ugh. Also, I know what's happening. Yeah, I do know why TXT subtitle is. It's because I need to put a space in there. That's why that's bugging out. Okay, so let's just hit. I'm gonna disable murder mystery for now. In fact, I'll just disable this whole canvas. And what I'm going to do to test my theory is I'm going to grab Cat. I'm going to try moving her during runtime. And my guess is that she won't move. Now, I know why. Yeah, she's
Test
got
voice
positions,
0.
that's why.
I'm ready
Test
meow.
voice 2 dog.
Test voice 4. My
Oh, yeah.
ninja.
That's still got. Okay, so if we look at cat, you'll see her ass. I didn't do that, okay? The camera did that. I didn't do anything. I didn't ask for the ass. It just showed me it. You gotta believe me. Will you stop float? Look, you can see, right? You can see I cannot move cat. If I try to move cat, she just goes back to 0. And that's because her animation cycles have position attached to them. Now I could go in and delete all these from all the animations and line them all up again, but it's too much of a pain in the ass. I think it will be okay in this case just to disable her and re-enable her. So in that case we get rid of this. I don't actually know about that. I don't know if she'll be alright when she comes back. I guess we'll find out. Alright, so now when we play our murder mystery, she should bugger off.
Test voice 0.
I'm ready
Test
meow.
voice 2 dog.
Test voice 4. My ninja.
There we go. We should probably get rid of her logo as well, actually. Scarecrows! Oh my god, a scarecrow's been murdered. Nowhere. Yes, I'm basically going to do the same with cat logo. That doesn't cause null references or anything, does that? When I turn her off. Alright, let's test it again.
Welcome to another murder mystery.
Yeah, so this takes quite a while to come back, so I need to have the guy waffle on while we wait for this image to show up. Am I crazy yet? Hello, Alexandria, how are you? No, it's going pretty well, actually. I say that. Right as I say that, I have the response back from the image generator, but we don't get the image. Yeah, this seems to happen sometimes. I wonder why that is. Because it responded with a URL as well, right? Let me test this URL. Is this actually our image? I wonder why it's failing to get the image sometimes. See what this is. It's literally just the image. Yeah, it made... Oh, that's cool as well. It made this image for us. Caution, dude, done. Caution, dude, done. A dude's been done, alright. It's... I think Bugs... Oh my god, Bugs Bunny's being killed. It's the death of Bugs Bunny. That's definitely Bugs Bunny's hand. Why is only his hand there? Why is only his hand there though? That's kind of nuts. But yeah, like why? I don't know why it didn't display that one. That's odd. Because we don't get any errors or anything. That's the other weird thing about it. Strange. I don't know actually, because it like I said, it generated the image, right? Literally generated that for us. Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure actually. Okay, so we know we want our voice to be 3 for the narrator. And we can just start queuing voice requests, right? Sure. What I might do is make a function that's like, you know, narrate this or something. I don't know actually. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. Okay, let's think about this. But that's our first request, right? Something along the lines of that. Right, so before we generate evidence, this is where we want to do it, I think. So here we want to make our first speech request, right, which is, so we want a speak line extend new request equals a new speak line extend. We must use that already. I'll say new speech then. New speech. There we go. New speech equals new speak line extend, and then we can say new speech voice index equals 3. So this sets up the narrator, and then new speech, all we really care about is the voice line, the speak line. Speak line equals welcome to another murder mystery. Right, and I just need to basically have him say, he needs to waffle on while we wait for the bloody while we wait for that first scene to come back, basically. Welcome to another murder mystery where, I don't know, how can I put this? Is it avenge? Are you really avenging? Deliver justice. How about that? In the Corbium realm. And then what I think I'll do, I'll put a request through and I'll ask AI to just basically waffle on. Right. I still don't really know how I'm going to get this to work, you know. Because, okay, we can send... Here's the problem, right? We can queue the speech engine, we can deliver scripts all day long, and we can even say that this is the request that this line of dialogue is meant to display, but we still don't really know, which is fine for like delivering certain images along with certain pieces of dialogue, but we still don't have a way of knowing whether those requests have come back yet or not. And I think that's kind of important. So I think what we need is like literally like a waffle generator. Because like basically what we need is we need to be holding off. We also need some kind of state change thing as well. God, this is kind of complicated actually. So I think this is going to need to be another coroutine, you know, which is like deliver dialogue. Because I can't put a while loop inside a void, because then we just basically freeze the entire thing. So it has to be done within a coroutine. And then that coroutine needs to basically look at the request and figure out whether the request was successfully completed or not. And what I think I'll do is if the request hasn't come back successfully completed yet for the image, then we basically go over to our AI and we say, look, AI, you need to give me some waffle, right? Write some waffle while we wait for this scene to get delivered, to while we wait for this request to come back. Okay, yeah, this could work. So what we can do, I'll call it deliver await, right? So what deliver await's going to do is it's going to deliver a speech request like this. It's going to know what response it's waiting for, and then until the response has been fulfilled, it's just going to generate random waffle, basically. So we need a speak line extended which we'll call speech request, and then we also need a DALL-E request, so we know what request we're waiting to come back with, which can be image request. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh fuck, that doesn't go there. What the fuck? I put those in the wrong thing. They should be in there. That was a big cursor. Why was that so big? That's what she said. Right. Right. So this way we can do. We've made a request. Then we can say start coroutine. I think I'm going to need a coroutine manager for this. Oh fuck. I don't know. Nah, we should be fine. But I don't know. Oh my god, this is so awkward. Because the problem is, right, if we do a generic coroutine like this, then that will work once. But then when it completes, we don't have anywhere to go from there. The coroutine will just fall off. But how do we know when that's finished and it's completed to then send it over to the next stage, right? I think we need a state machine. We could do it with a state machine. The problem with a state machine is our state machine is going to change size depending on what's randomly generated, right? So it's not that easy to build. It would need to be an adaptable state machine that's size. I suppose we just do an overall state driver, right? So we do like state 0 is introduction, state 1 is go through suspects, and then once we're in state 1, we're using the suspects list as essentially as a state machine at that point, and then state 2 could be deliver the evidence, and then in state 2 we're using the evidence list as a sort of sub-state machine, right? And then wherever we go from there is like state 3 or whatever. I guess that could work. Because then we just wait for a state change to then deliver the next part of the sequence, right? So yeah, I think, okay, I do think that could work. So if we do a private integer called mystery state and set it to 0, then we'll know when all this is done by incrementing the mystery state, right? That's actually pretty smart. That should be fine. Okay, so in that case, we can put our new speech through as the request. And our response was our new request. We're waiting on new request, right? Why doesn't it like that? Oh, yeah. Okay, I know why. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. It's deliver away and then that's inside that. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. So then what we should do is we should go into this coroutine. We give this coroutine the speech request. So this gets spoken. And this also knows that this is the thing we're waiting to come back. And basically what we do in here is we say, well, while we're waiting for this to come back, we just generate random waffle. And we just keep generating random waffle until this comes back. The only issue with that right now is, and I don't know why, but like sometimes, like in that last example, sometimes it just doesn't come back. Now that's a whole separate thing that I need to solve. I need to maybe speak with ChatGPT about that and say, why the fuck is this not always completing? Because that's a whole other bug that I can't really do anything about it until I fix that bug, I guess. But for the most part, it normally comes back, so it should be okay, I think. Okay, so in that case, what we can do is we can say to the first thing we want to do is say to our speech extended system, which is speech extend. It doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like that? Okay, is that it? Yeah. Okay. Oh no, wait. Speech extend. Oh my god, what's it called? Yeah, it should be speech extend. What did I call it? Yeah, speech extend with a small s. So speech extend dot speech requests dot add speech request is the first thing we want to do. So then the speech engine can process that request, and then this is where we need to be kind of creative. So what we can do is we can say, while image request dot texture, we didn't call it texture, stored image or something, wasn't it? What the fuck did I call it? Image request. Where is it? 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 Have I not got it open? Oh, there it is. Image store. Oh, it was called image store. Yeah, because we sent the texture out through image store now, don't we? That's why I was confused. So we're not actually looking for a texture. Image store. So we need, oh shit, we need to get the image store then for it first. Okay, no, that's fine. We can do that. Go back to my thing. Where is it? Okay, so we need the image store. So basically, image store get store wants to equal the image request image store. Then we can say, while get store dot texture is null. Why is that not working? Isn't this called stored image? Because it's not, that's why. It's in the response. How did I make this work? Let me think. This is insanely complicated. So a request. Our API goes into the image store and sets the raw texture. We don't care about this one. This is the one we care about. So it's the image store dot images. Oh fuck yeah! How the hell are we meant to know that? Oh no. The way I've done this was smart from this point of view, but really dumb from the other point of view, because we basically just slap images into the store, right? Which is smart for cycling through images, but it's dumb for knowing if an image completed or not. So how do we know if an image completed? We literally just slap the texture into the image store, don't we? I suppose. No, that's too risky. Okay. So we need a new field on the request. The request needs a flag to say whether it completed or not. That's what we need. So we'll do. We'll do a public bool of completed equals false, and then in our API we'll set completed to true. So we need to go back into the request, so it's current request. So down here we can say current request dot completed equals true. And then back in our murder mystery, then we can say now we don't need the image store, which is nice. We can just say image request not completed. What do we do? Say not image request completed. Yeah, while not image request completed, then we can do a yield return null in there. And then when we fall out of that, that's when we can say mystery state increment, right? So we move up a state. Okay. So at the moment, this will literally just wait for it to complete. But what we want to do now is generate some waffle, right? But even this, no, this is a really bad idea, because all we're doing, we have to be really careful here, because we still don't know when the speech engine has finished delivering the speech, right? So we're going to say all this. The problem is, if we just generate waffle until completed, it's going to just fill the speech engine with waffle requests. Literally until the image comes back. So then by the time the image comes back, then the rate is just going to be waffling and waffling and waffling and waffling and waffling before he actually cuts to the chase. So basically we're making Honkai Impact. Honkai Impact murder mystery. We don't want to do that. So how do we fix that? Well, there's a few ways we could fix that, right? We should maybe just generate waffle. Ideally, I want to wait until... Wait, does the speech engine... Okay, I know what to do. we basically wait for the speech engine to clear its workload, right? So we can say we do nothing, but basically we look at the speech engine, right? So speech extend, which is that one, dot speech requests dot count equals 0. So that's when we generate waffle. There we go. So basically we're looking at the speech engine to see whether it got emptied out, and if the speech engine got emptied out, then it's finished all of its speech and it's got nothing more to say. So if that ever happens and we still haven't had the image request back, now we need to generate some waffle, right? But the waffle needs context, right? So for this particular waffle, we want context. Introducing a murder mystery. Right, so where's our evidence creator? Because we'll use that queuing system. Right, so we have a subscription event handler here for handle evidence received. Right, so we need a new handle now for handle waffle. Right, we're literally we're literally going to make a waffle receiver, right? And then when we receive waffle, the response, all we want to do is we want to add the response to the speech engine. So we can say speech extend dot, but we need to make it as a, oh fuckity fuck. That's okay, we can do that. I know what to do. So we need a speak lines extend type new speech equals a new speak line extend, and then our new speech, yeah, the waffle's only ever going to be the narrator, I would say. So our new speech dot voice index wants to equal the narrator's voice, which is 3. And then our new speech dot speak line is response. Then we add our new speech to speech requests. There we go. So this is what we do when we receive waffle. Handle waffle received. So then what we do is back in our deliver and wait, we literally send a new AI request and we subscribe to the waffle event handler, right? So here we instantiate a new listener. So basically we can copy this and put it in here. So we generate a new listener with the AI listen prefab. Right? New listener name is evidence. Well, this one is waffle. Right? And then we don't have an index. We could have an index. I don't know if we need to have an index. We could do an index. So then in our waffle generator, there we go. But instead of handle evidence received, we subscribe to handle waffle received. So we subscribe that listener to the event handler of handle waffle received. Then when the waffle comes back, did we lose all our Unity engines? Yeah, we did. We lost all our randoms. Ambiguous. 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 Why is it adding... Wait, that must mean it added system, but why? Why did it add system? We must use system on one of those. It's fine. Alright, there we go. Fixed. So hopefully... hopefully that'll work. And then in update, we can basically start to see state changes, right? So like in here, we can say if mystery state equals 1. For now, we'll just unity engine.debug. Ready for next state, right? Ready for next state. There we go. So let's make sure that works. So what it should do, it should put out an introduction while we're waiting for the first scene to come back, the first image to come back. And then basically the whole time we're waiting for that image to come back, it should just generate random waffle whenever the narrator stops speaking. And then when the image comes back, it should say ready for the next state, right? And actually the next state would be to go and speak the... yeah, we could do that now, actually. But how do we know... How do we keep the response? Well, we know the response is going to be on... We don't need that anymore. We know the response is going to be on our canvas behind rear screen, right? Our rear screen image store, which we probably have linked, do we? No, we have the game object of rear screen. So for this, what we can do Well, let's test that first before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's make sure that works.
Welcome to another murder mystery. Welcome to another murder mystery, where you must find the guilty culprit in order to deliver justice to yet another victim in the copium realm.
It's sort of worked. Why did we get... I know why we got it. Because we put a test request in here. Right, let me try that again. Also, we got a null reference somewhere. Weird. Yeah. Oh, you want that too?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
We're going, as you know, we're going out.
Go for dinner, yeah.
Just on over the road. But I've got 3 things coming from Amazon. It's
I'll
two
keep mine out.
2 rugs for the kitchen, a new telephone because I can't freaking cope with that one any longer.
There you go.
And thanks, Colin. And some roller things for the washer to lift the washer up a little bit more. No,
Right, sorry about that. I don't know why that null reference. Let's just see that again.
Welcome to another murder mystery, where you must find the guilty culprit in order to deliver justice to yet another victim in the copium realm.
Nothing is working. We've got the image back though. Why are we getting an out of range exception when we clear the speech requests at the same time that we clear speak lines? Here. And also we only drive that from speech requests anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, I thought there would be. Speak lines add, so it's only if speech requests count is greater than 0 and not busy. We should be adding a speech line based off the speech request, and then we do speak line at speak line 0. So I don't know how we're null referencing. It's not the auto clear text, is it? Await sound length. Speak lines remove at 0. Speech requests remove at 0. Where the fuck is clear text? That doesn't even do anything. I mean, it does, but it doesn't do anything with. I don't understand. I don't understand how it's. I do not understand how we don't have. Oh, for fuck's sake, this is so fucking infuriating. Let's find out what the hell is going on. Because I don't understand how we can have more speak lines than speech requests. Oh, unless something... Nothing uses this extent. Yeah, okay, I could maybe understand it if we were using Cat's speech engine, because there are so many other scripts that have access to that control that something else could just be using the old system, right? But we made a variant. We made an entirely new speech engine for this.
Welcome to another murder
can't be the
mystery,
case.
where you must find the guilty culprit in order to deliver justice to yet another victim in the copium realm.
Okay, it's trying to make a new speech request or something. What the fuck is happening? Because it doesn't happen straight away when he finishes speaking that. It must be happening in here. Speech requests add new speech. Oh, I know what it is. Shit. So I separate elements out. Okay, I need to find out where I separate these elements out. So because there's like a size limiter, I basically add, yeah, I do this like limit length thing or whatever, and I separate out the new requests. So this is how we ended up with more speak lines than speech requests. So basically when I do that, I need to make sure I put a duplicate speech request in from the previous, because part of the same request essentially. Right, okay, I know that's happening in the speech engine. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. So what we could do, so no, that's not it actually. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Here we go. It's these two. It's these two. So it must be happening on 0, right? So we could basically say speech requests add speech requests 0. So we basically add a second copy of the live request, and that should fix that bug. Okay, that should fix that bug. Okay.
Welcome to another murder mystery, where you must find the guilty culprit in order to deliver justice to yet another victim in the copium realm.
Fuck. Old list equals new list. So now I have to do the same thing with old requests. We build a new list. Yeah, that was the only way to do it really. Old requests equals new list. It's not strings. It's speak line extend. Speak line extend. Okay. Okay, so we copy the list of speech requests. speech requests 0. God damn it. But where does new lines come from? What the fuck is new lines? New lines, new lines, new lines, new lines. Okay, list new lines equals a new list of string. Where do we add new lines? Because wherever we... Right. If missing last, new lines add split line at index -1. Oh my fucking god, are you kidding me? What? Alright. Yeah, I'll try and have a look. I'm busy right now. New lines add split line at index -1. While index is less than split line dot length. Split line is split. To split is speak line 0 and replace a full stop with one of those. New lines add split line at index -1. Now if we're adding a new line to new lines here, but new lines is a separate list. Oh my god, this is so fucking annoying. So I need a new, with a new lines, I need a new requests. Oh my god, this is insane. Okay, yeah, I do remember this being insane to do. And this just became twice as hard as it was, because now we've got separate voice speech requests. Speak line extends, separate speak line extends along with the lines. So this would be new requests equals new list of speak line extends. Okay. So then I can say new requests add from speech requests position 0, I'm guessing. If speak line 0 dot length, yeah, we are dealing with position 0. So the current request gets copied in as a second copy of this original request. Then here we declare a new list called old list, ironically. So then we make the old request, which is the same, a request version of the old list as a new list. Speech requests remove at 0, speak lines remove at 0. While under all indexes less than speak lines dot count, all list dot add, all requests add. Okay, that's good. Speech requests clear, speak lines clear. While new indexes less than new lines dot count, speech requests add, speech requests position 0. This is wrong. This is wrong. Okay, this should be new requests. This should be new requests at new index. Okay, that should be new requests at new index. Here, old index less than old list dot count. This is also wrong. This should be old requests at old index. Okay, that should fix that.
Welcome to another murder mystery, where you must find the guilty culprit in order to deliver justice to yet another victim in the copium realm. Welcome to the murder mystery of Adele at the school during the morning. Adele, a popular and well-liked student, was found dead in the school hallway during morning classes. Welcome to the murder mystery of Adele at the school during the morning. Adele, a popular and well-liked student, was found dead in the school hallway during morning classes. Welcome to the murder mystery scenario of murder of Adele at school during morning. Nadele, a popular and well-liked student at the local high school, was found dead in the school courtyard during the morning hours. In the quiet halls of Willowbrick High School.
Yeah, okay, so it seems to be just going on and on and on and on and on, but that's kind of fine. We still got a null reference, which I don't really understand why. On new requests, new index. Which would suggest that we made a mistake with new requests. I don't really get it though, because wherever we add new lines, we add a new request, right? So in new lines, we add at split index at index -1. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Build line. New lines add build line. Build line equals build line, but that's a string builder. Okay, so that's a string builder. But what is the index driver? Well, index is less than split line dot length. So we go through. Right, so split line dot length is the length of the array. So we go through each and every. These are sentence splits. But what? It's still 0, right? It's still 0. So I think this should be new requests. Add. Speech requests, position 0. Okay, I found it. I think that's it. Fucking hell. But also, like, the waffle generator seems to never stop delivering waffle, so it really is Honkai Impact 4th. I like the stuff it's coming back with, though.
Welcome to another murder mystery, where you must find the guilty culprit in order to deliver justice to yet another victim in the copium realm. Welcome to the murder mystery scenario of murder of Chloe at park during evening. NTHE Serene Park, usually a place of tranquility, has been transformed into a crime scene as the body of Chloe, a well-known...
Right, there's definitely an issue. So for some reason, this is so fucking weird. For some reason, we're getting loads of speech requests per one. Also, we get, that's so fucking weird. We got the same speak lines twice from the same waffle request, I assume. So the waffle request went in twice. But why the fuck do we have like 64 voice requests for it? That makes no sense. Honestly, I think I need a break. We need, there's obviously still bugs in this new speech extended engine thing. Yeah, these need to line up, and also I shouldn't be saying that twice. I shouldn't be saying it once. So I don't know why that's fucked, but I need to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, I guess. Probably not fun to watch as a stream. Probably none of my streams are, to be honest. So yeah, and also my parents have just gone out for dinner and they want me to set some new phone up for them and stuff. So, and I could do with some food. I'm gonna get some lunch or something. So I'm gonna end it here, and yeah,